Hello and welcome to episode 27 of the Nourish and Strengthen podcast. I'm so excited about our guest today, you guys. Nikki, you don't know this, but I've had a girl crush on you for like so many years. And I'm so excited to introduce Nikkiey Stott to you guys. She has an incredible story and is a wealth of knowledge. She is the co-founder of Warrior Babe. She's a certified personal trainer, has a BSN in nursing. She's the host of the Macro Hour podcast, which is an amazing podcast. Welcome to Nourish and Strengthen, Nikki.
Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, I'm so excited and so honored. So I just want to dive right in because you have an incredible story that I don't think I even really realized happened to you until pretty recently. So from my story, most of my audience understands there's downsides to getting competition lean. You used to compete, right?
Yes.
Yes. And restrictive dieting, obviously, we don't believe in that, overtraining. But your story actually ended you in the hospital. What?
Mhm.
Tell me kind of more about your story.
Yeah, I'll go back a little bit
Okay.
and dive into that, and then we can touch on how that even led me to that arena. So
Yeah, perfect.
basically, growing up, I was very much into sports, basketball, field hockey, track. And then once like that regiment stopped with schooling and practice and like your coach and being held accountable, it was like my early 20s were like before 2014. I was really struggling, like post like school in your early 20s, like drinking and then that life. And like I wanted to be fit and healthy. Like I wanted to regain that mentality that I had while I was playing with sports and had a team, but I like didn't know where to start. Like I didn't know how to do it by myself.
Mhm.
And it was like struggle bus city. Like I hate the way I looked. I always wore baggy clothes. I never wore shorts.
Oh,
Like I know a lot
yeah,
of women could totally resonate with that. I was so
totally.
self-conscious about my legs. Tried various different diets, would go to the gym sporadically, couldn't keep anything consistent enough, like to give it enough time to probably give me results.
I think right
Um,
there is like every woman's story, right?
totally, right? Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
100%. And then this is probably to a lot of women's story. In 2015, this is where I made I was a New Year's resolution baby. And I was
Oh,
like, I'm
yeah.
going to transform my body. I'm going to boost my confidence. Like, this is my year, 2015.
Heck yeah.
And I was like determined to follow through because I was just fed up with like feeling bad about myself. And it was extremely challenging and overwhelming at first because I tried like all of these different methods and advice from like the internet. Like
Mhm.
I joke, like I didn't know what protein was. So I had to Google what protein was and where I could find it and like what I was supposed to eat.
That is
Um,
awesome. So you really came from the beginner of beginners.
yeah, I really
Yes.
did. Like I had no idea. And then this is like where it really transitioned early in 2015, where I stumbled upon like Instagram posts of bodybuilders and like their physiques inspired me. And I started to dream about, oh, well, if they can do it, then I can do it too. And so one day, like long story short, this gym manager was like, oh, are you going to be competing in a bodybuilding competition? And I was like, no, but like funny you ask. I've been thinking about this. And so this is where I hired a coach. I dedicated myself fully to this plan. And I like immersed myself into training for 6 months for my first bodybuilding competition, all while in nursing school, taking care of my sick grandmother and working at a local ER part time.
Wow.
And so like after months of like this hard work, I won the first competition. I turned pro. It just ignited my passion,
Yeah, that's amazing.
to want to understand more about like strength training and nutrition. But like, the high was totally short-lived because
Yeah.
I like, shared recently with you that like in my first month post show, I gained 25 pounds
Hmm.
back.
Wait,
And
really quick, back up. So you turned
yeah,
pro after your first like national show.
it was a very small federation. So it
Okay.
was NABA and
Still.
ABBA.
Okay.
Yeah. One pro with them, competed with the pros that night and then beat the pros. And I was
Okay.
like, but
That's
it was like
amazing.
three people. But it was like three people. Thank you. But it was like
Well,
three people on
but you don't
stage.
need to say that part. No
Well,
one knows. You could just
that
pretend and no one would know the difference.
yeah, exactly. So okay. And then like I still like totally lacked direction, like, and I quickly gained that weight back. And I felt I was heavier than I was when I first started out on it. I was like, what?
Mm.
happened. So I
Yeah.
was like, well, this is the only way I know how to do this. So I decided
Sure.
to like compete again, but I went for a bigger federation. I went for the OCB,
Mm-hmm.
and they're all natural. And I went pro in that first show, and then took about 2 years off, but fell into that cycle again throughout that. And this is where
Mm-hmm.
like it was weight loss, it was weight gain, it was up and down for 2 years. And
Yeah.
then leading into wanting to compete with the pros on the major pro show in 2018, right before that is where I landed myself in the hospital 2 times.
Oh, so how did that happen?
Yeah. So going into for the pro show is like, oh, my coach was like, we got to do this better. We got to show up better. We got to come in
Yeah.
leaner. We got to do all these things. And like training went like 10x. Like
Mm-hmm.
I was training. First of all, I was prepping for about like 8 months straight. It was so
Wow.
stupid.
Yeah.
And then my training about like 8 weeks out it went from like 0 to 100. It was like, let's train 6 to 7 days a week, 3 times a day. And so I
Oh
was
my
in the morning.
gosh.
Yeah. I was in the morning cardio. I had to wake up at like 4 a.m., do cardio first thing for an hour on the Stairmaster, and then had to go back later on in the day and do strength training for an hour to an hour and a half. And then had to do an hour after that strength training session of cardio.
Nikkiey, oh my
Yeah,
gosh. Were you just dying?
I was I was it was the lowest point of my life. Like,
Oh,
all to achieve a certain type of physique,
yeah.
and to win. And so what happened was, amongst all those extremes, I ended up with
Mm,
rhabdomyolysis, so where my body
yeah.
can't filter out lactic acid enough, and, like, I was literally it was in my legs, and I was walking around like a penguin. All of my blood levels were elevated.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
it was so uncomfortable. They had to flush me with 7 liters of fluid.
So
Yeah.
what is so I've heard of rhabdo. I know what it is, but and you just kind of talked about that. But what is like the symptom that sends you to the hospital for that? What does that feel like?
Yeah, so
Just
basically
curious.
your muscles are so tense, like
Uh-huh.
in a flex state
Yeah.
for like 24, 48 hours, maybe even 72 hours, so like 3 days. And it's like you're waddling. You're waddling around like a penguin. At least for
Is
me,
it like you have a
it was in my
cramp?
legs.
Like you have a cramp kind of or not?
No, like think about like you're doing a leg extension, right? And then
Yeah,
you're
that's
in
actually where my mind went. It was like
Yep,
extension.
you're in like
Like,
a
yeah.
flex state. Yeah, you're in a flex state
Wow.
for that entire time.
Oh my gosh.
And then you also start to experience like your urine can get dark because you're so
Mm.
dehydrated, your kidneys can't filter out this lactic acid. And so, knowing I knew this, right? Because I have
Yeah.
nursing background. So I'm like, I'm the worst patient. I'm like, let me just push this pressure for a little bit
It'll
longer.
get better, I'm
It'll
sure.
get better. Sure. Yeah, no. Like as much what I can't you can't like physically drink enough water to keep your kidneys filtering it out all it needs. Like you need the liter after liter after liter of
Sure,
fluid
a
to flush
fluid.
out the rhabdo. So that was hospital visit number one. Hospital visit number two was because my fats were extremely low with dieting
Mhm.
for competition. I was eating 1 tablespoon of olive oil for my fats a day. So it's 14 grams of fat a day.
Oh my gosh.
So I ended up in the hospital because I could not poop.
Uh-huh.
I was constipated
Yeah.
from entirely like my x-rays showed an entire side of my rib cage, my digestive tract was just completely backed up, and then it was bleeding into the other side, like my
No way.
yeah. And then because I worked in the ER, my doctor walked in, he was like, Nikki, you're full of shit.
Like literally.
Really, no pun intended there.
Right.
So,
Oh my
so
gosh.
yeah, so both of those, like the extremes just led me there. And then after I competed in the show, I still did it, like even
Uh-huh.
amongst that, and I
Wow.
won, I beat the pros, but like
My
after that,
gosh.
I was like, peace, I'm done with this lifestyle.
Yeah. Seriously.
Yeah.
So those are some major extremes. And I feel like even if our listeners didn't compete, they can kind of relate. I have a lot of listeners who are, they just undereat because they think they're supposed to, and that causes so much stress. And that's something that I like to talk about. Like, even if people don't have our story of competing or the extremes that you went to, they can still understand the idea of going to extremes and having that backfire, right? How do you feel like your story applies to, just our everyday listener?
Everyday woman. Yeah. I mean, everyday
Mm-hmm.
woman isn't eating enough food first and foremost. And like, I know that these women struggle with, cause like you coached women in this
Mm-hmm.
arena. Me too, as well. It's like I hear these stories all of the time that they have digestive problems, they're constipated, that's like one of the symptoms that I hear. And I'm just like,
Yeah.
let's pull it back and look at what you're eating on a regular basis. And like,
Hmm.
it's just not either consistent, it's not enough. It's usually like totally under in calories and all of and it just because of like not knowing how to eat, which is a lot of
Yes.
the struggle. But yeah, it totally resonates. I hear this all of the time.
Yeah, totally. So now you're about a lot more balanced. So I want to talk about that. So, you moved from this restrictive, low fat. Were you following meal plans at the time, I assume, back in the
Yeah, it was a bro
2000?
diet. Bro diet.
Yes,
Yeah, it
totally. Oh
was
my gosh,
chicken,
it's the
broccoli,
worst.
rice, tilapia, cod. Like I will never look at tilapia and cod the same.
Yeah.
I can never do that again. There's no way.
Oh my gosh, I'm so with you. That I even feel that way about chicken sometimes, which is sad because I like chicken, but sometimes I'm just like chickened out.
Yeah.
But now you've called yourself the queen of macros, queen of macronutrients, and I feel like that probably symbolizes the balance that you try to find. So why do you feel so passionate about tracking macros versus just calories or meal plans, and why is that so important?
Yeah, so a few reasons. I'm going to narrow this down to like three
Yeah,
in particular. One, because I'm very, very keen on macros. One being a personal story, because when I was competing, I asked my coach, I'm like, what is this macro thing? Like, how can I see people flexible dieting and then
yeah.
stepping on stage and looking incredible? And my coach was just like, no to macros. Like, guys, if you're watching this on or listening to this on audio, I'm putting a big X up. He was like, nope, and no, can't learn this. I'm like, and I'm going to, share this in a little bit. But it just caused me to be more curious as to like, well, what
Hmm.
anybody tells me no, I'm like, oh, I got to go
Oh,
figure this out.
exactly.
Why
Or,
are you
or
saying
like,
no?
or I'm going to show you that I actually can do this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that just led me down the world of macros. And once my eyes were opened and I learned the skill set, because it is a skill set, it's not a diet, everybody. It's like, it's a skill set that will serve you for the rest of your life. And
Hmm.
the reason why I love macros so much is mainly three reasons. It's like, you can have a huge impact on your body composition. So macronutrients, protein, fats, and carbs directly affect your body composition. And
Hmm.
if you can tailor your nutrition by eating enough protein so that you can grow your muscles and repair the muscles, and you can eat your carbohydrates for the energy, and then you can have the fat for the hormone production. When you understand what those things do for your body, you can tailor the way you eat on a daily basis, and that's going to optimize how you can change your body composition. For a lot of the women that I speak to, it's like they want to build muscle, they want to be toned. And I'm like, okay, but they're following calories. And I'm like, okay, well, cool. Yeah, 1,800 calories, great. 2,000 calories, great. But like, what is that calorie makeup coming from? And it's
Yes.
mainly carbs and fats. So I'm like, let's dial it in a little bit deeper, because if you want to change your body composition, you got to have that protein in there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
one being definitely the impact on your body composition. Two is that when you're dialing in like a balanced nutritional diet with macronutrients, you can prevent and manage health conditions. So there's so many women that I hear and support and help that are dealing with managing and dealing with a variety of health conditions like diabetes or PCOS or high blood pressure, and obesity, it's right there,
Yeah.
heart
Right.
disease, like all of those things. And so if you can balance out your nutrition and eat right for the protein, fats, and carbs, you can prevent and manage these health conditions. And then
Yeah.
another
I
one
love
is
it.
like, the last one is like, it's not just about, the body and the way you want to change it. Like I love, yes, macros to the changing your body composition, but it's also like when you're eating right, it has a profound impact on your mental and your emotional
Mhm.
well-being. So like if you're eating what your body needs, right, it can improve your mood, it can improve your energy levels, it can improve your cognitive function, it can just overall lead to better mental well-being. So that's why I love macronutrients.
Yeah. I love that. And you
Yeah.
talk about it being really important as we age too. Can you touch on that a little bit too?
Yeah, 100%. So the women I speak to are like 45, 55, 65
Yeah.
years old,
Same.
right?
Yep.
Same. Okay, cool. So after the age of 30, your muscle mass decreases by like 3 to 8% per decade. So what a lot of women experience is they lose their muscle mass as they age. It's just a natural progression that happens with that process. And so when you're eating enough protein, and high quality protein, it is a vital macronutrient to help you to maintain that muscle mass, and not only importantly to help you build more strength and functionality with strength training, right? So by having macronutrients and eating the right portions that you're supposed to be having, it can help you to preserve muscle mass and build more if you're doing strength training. And then another one is a weight management. So with your age, as you age, your metabolism begins to slow down. At the same time, us humans begin to slow down. So it's
True.
not
Yeah.
entirely our metabolism's fault.
Right.
When you're able to balance out carbs, fats, proteins, that's key to maintaining a healthy weight and healthy, everything, preventing obesity from happening. And then, like I touched on with when your muscle mass decreases, your bone density decreases. So when you are eating macronutrients and you're having that right balance, you're getting adequate protein, you're getting fats to absorb for vitamin D, you're getting everything that will help keep your bones strong. On top of that, when you're doing strength training, then you're making the muscles are helping to make your bones stronger. So that will help too to prevent osteoporosis, which a lot of women experience later on in life. I've seen so many people come into the ER when I worked there that had broken hips or had fallen. And I'm just like, you can just look at somebody and be like, well, that person definitely does not work out. That person definitely does not eat right. And it's just like, if people had a little bit more information about these things, or were more curious about learning about nutrition and fitness and applying these things, then yeah, that's how macronutrients are just vital for helping women age strong in a strong way.
I love that. That's so eye-opening and important for sure. So you come from this background of extremes, right? And now you seem to have found this really healthy balance. But I want to know, what is your day-to-day healthy living, your workout, your nutrition? Like, tell me, like, if I were to look into Nikki's life, what does healthy living mean to you?
Yeah, I love this question because it's literally like half of what I was doing when I started out in my
Isn't that
fitness
so cool
career.
though?
It's
Yeah.
amazing. It's
Yes.
literally amazing. Like I say that less is more. Like, so my day to day, I used to train like 7 days a week, right? And those 3 days of being in the gym 3 times a day. Now it's like I'm training maybe 3 to 4 times a week with strength training. And I just incorporated a little bit of running for my cardiovascular health.
Yeah.
But it's like literally half of what I used to do. And healthy living to me is like finding the balance from the extreme to like, actually living a sustainable, realistic way for myself. Like, I'm not somebody that's going to pull out a scale and track my macros at a restaurant or be with friends or do it when I'm with family. It's like I have years of this developed skill that I can look at food and I can understand this is a carb, this is fat, this is a protein, this is the quality or the quantity of each, the quality of each. And so I can look at a meal and be like, oh, this is like, that's what healthy living is to me. It's not like being restrictive or feeling like I need to track all the time or feeling like I need to go to extreme and restrict certain foods. It's like, I know nutrition well enough to know like, this is where I'm at for the day. And this is what a good quality piece of food is. And so I'm going to allow myself to have whatever I want, whenever I want, but in balance.
Yeah.
And then when it comes to training, it's like, what do I love to do? And I love to
Yes.
strength train and I love to, I'm getting into enjoying to run again. I can't believe I would ever say that, but
Yeah. And I know we both love to rollerblade.
yes, we do. We do both love to rollerblade. That is such a fun activity.
It is so fun. That has been my cardio like all through the summer. And I didn't even start it as cardio. I started it because I just wanted to get outside and do something outside. And then I was like, hey, my heart rate's like 130 or something. I'm like, this is awesome,
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Anything exactly what I said. It's like, what do you love to do?
It needs
And
to
how
be
can
fun. And then you don't dread it.
It does. Yeah. And
Yeah.
also it's, piggyback. A lot of people will say, well, strength training is not fun, but it's like, okay, can we think about longevity?
Good point. That's a good point. Yes. And sometimes people might think, eating a lot of protein is not fun, but then sometimes you have to have, your conscious brain tell you, well, sometimes we need to do what's best for us too.
Exactly. Or even people are like, oh, that's so boring. Strength training, this exercise is so boring. It's like, you got to do the boring work.
Yes.
Please,
well, that's another time when balance is important. Yeah. Balance with having fun, enjoying it, but also just kind of doing what's best for you too.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. Awesome. So I have a fun game that we're going to get into in just a minute, but I want to know before we get into more of the lighthearted stuff, I want to know, is there any advice that you would give yourself back when you were, in the extremes, or even to our ladies who are like under eating, over exercising, doing all the HIIT cardio classes, what would you tell either them or your past self now based on what you know now?
Yeah. I would say the first thing that I would tell myself is to prioritize balance over extremes.
Mm.
I think that's really important now, knowing what I know now. When I first started. Now, to a listener listening, I would say, don't fear food.
Mm-hmm.
Don't fear carbs. I know it's a lot easier said than done. There's so much marketing that's out there that like says carbs are bad and carbs will make you fat. Well, it's like, this would be another thing. Get curious as
Mm-hmm.
to like, why are they saying that? Like why would carbs make somebody fat? And you can dive into the science and understand, oh, well, carbs turn into glycogen. Glycogen holds on to water. So it's not necessarily fat, but it's water weight. So it's like, get curious, always keep learning, know that your truth and not necessarily somebody else's truth or what they're
Mm-hmm.
saying.
Yeah.
And I would say, enjoy the journey. If looking back, it's like, I love the process that I went through, right? But like, I was so honed in on the results. Like I was like, I got to get
Mm.
to this show. I got to get this
Yep.
result. I got to eat this way and train this way because it gave me this result before. But
Mm-hmm.
instead, like just find the joy in like, dude, I get to do this. I don't have to do this. I get to do this. My body can do this. I can eat healthy because it's my choice. So it's like, enjoy the journey. And then another one would be like, everybody always feels like they're going to be happy once they achieve a result. They
Mm.
feel like they're going to have a body positive self when they achieve a result. It's like, dude, just like appreciate your body for what it is right now and what it can do and not just how it looks. And that
I
alone will
love
help.
that.
Yeah, that alone will help you just like step into a different type of mind frame around yourself and
Mm-hmm.
your journey. Yeah.
I love that. That's so, so important, especially those mindset shifts for sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So, okay, I want to play overrated, underrated. Do you know how to play?
I mean,
Okay.
from what I understand, but maybe you played a little bit differently. So fill
I
me
mean, I
in.
don't. Okay, so I don't probably play it any differently, but I'm just gonna say a topic, like maybe a buzzword in fitness and like on social media or whatever, and you're gonna tell me if you think it's overrated, properly rated, or underrated. So just to be clear,
Oh.
mainly like if you think it's overhyped, like people think it's too important, that'd be overrated. If you think it's more important than most people think it is, that would be underrated. And properly rated would be it's getting the appropriate amount of attention from mainstream. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I'm a little
Okay.
dyslexic, but so bear with me. So
Okay.
it's not I turn it backwards. So if I
well, these
do,
are all we're
catch
gonna
me.
talk. Yes, okay. And we'll talk through each one. We won't do like just a one word answer. We'll talk through it. So,
All right,
and I
sounds
did, guys, I didn't give Nikki these beforehand. So I'm just throwing them right at her. That's why it's a game. So,
love it. I
okay.
love it.
Yes. First one is cardio for weight loss. Overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
How come?
Because you can you can do cardio to lose some weight.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's not the answer I feel like a lot of people want when it comes to the type of appearance they want with their body. And for a couple of reasons too, like cardio in the moment, you burn and lose the calories. However, strength training, when you incorporate that for fat loss or weight loss, you burn calories, all throughout the day. It's not just like a one and done type of exercise. Like your muscles are active tissue. They're always going, they're always operating. They're always burning. And then strength training too helps to aid in your metabolism. So, if you are strength training, it's like double effect. You're going to lose fat, you're going to lose weight by doing that type of activity and you're going to get the results you want with the physical appearance that I think a lot of women want with more tone. Whereas weight loss or cardio, it's just like, you're going to become a skinnier, fatter version of yourself. It's going to
Yeah.
help lose weight, but it's
Sure.
like, it's just, you won't have much tone to your body.
Yeah. Yep. I totally agree. And maybe I could have said cardio for achieving your optimal body composition or something. But yeah, I completely agree with you. Okay. This next one, I'm going to put it in quotes. I don't know if my quotes make a difference, but next one is motivation. Overrated, underrated. Just the idea of being motivated, needing to be motivated.
Overrated.
Yeah. Talk about that.
Yeah. Well, I love that you asked that because I had Sal DiStefano on the Macro Hour, and that was one of the leading questions I asked him. I was like, what do you think is like a big fitness myth in the an industry right now. And he led with motivation. I was not
Mm.
expecting that. And I was like,
Yeah.
and the way he explained it, I was like, well, damn, that actually makes so much sense. So he was just like, everything out there right now is leading with like, you're not motivated enough.
Mm.
And like all of the tactics, all of the marketing, all of like the things are saying like, you need to be more motivated. And
Mm-hmm.
to me, motivation is an emotion. It ebbs and flows. You're not
Yeah.
always going to be motivated. Like, cool. Yeah. Once that ad gets you to say you need to be more motivated, and the person's like, yeah, it's a
For
pain
a
point that I'm
minute.
experiencing. Yeah. It's like,
Yeah.
great, cool. You're motivated to start it, but like, you're not going to be motivated in 4 weeks, guaranteed. You're not going to be
Right.
motivated in 3 months, guaranteed. So it's like, I think that's entirely overrated. And the fact that like
Mm-hmm.
you need to be more disciplined rather than
Mm.
motivated.
Yes.
And you need to like build more habits and become disciplined with those habits rather than
Mm-hmm.
like trying to do these quick things and quick fixes because you're in a motivated state. It's like
Right.
that's not
Right.
gonna land.
I
Yeah.
sometimes will talk about, are you motivated to do the laundry? Well, no. Like, are you motivated to go to work? I mean, maybe you and I are, but most people, no, they aren't always motivated to go to work. But you go to work because you want to make money. You do the laundry because you want to have clean clothes. You just do it because you have a habit of doing the laundry on the weekend. And so you do it even though you don't want to. I hate the laundry, but
Facts.
yeah, yes.
Facts. Facts.
Oh, man. Okay. Next one, intermittent fasting, overrated, underrated.
Oh.
Ah.
Oh. I'm gonna say overrated.
Okay.
Because to me, in my opinion, what I love to preach is like, let's just not create any type of restriction around any
Mm-hmm.
type of limit, like around a time, around food. It's like, can we just do the basics and just learn how to eat right?
Yeah.
And and then that's where I would say too, like maybe you could, I'm about intermittent fasting for people that need to address health issues.
Sure.
There's a right time for that. However,
Mm-hmm.
that's just for those people. Like, it's like, if you are healthy, you like have the ability to make a change that you don't need to, like, you can just keep the basics into play. Like, just keep the
Mm-hmm.
basics into play.
Yeah.
Don't limit yourself. Don't eliminate foods. Don't allow time stamps around X, Y, and Z. Yeah. So I would lean to overrated.
Awesome. I totally agree. Next one, breath work and meditation.
Oh,
I know you love breath work.
this is my jam, man. I think it's underrated. I don't think that enough people are really diving into the benefits of what this can do for a fitness
Mm,
and a fitness journey. There's so many positive components to breath work, to meditation, that will lead into supporting like the results that you want with along your fitness journey. So I think it's
mhm.
entirely underrated.
What do you do for breath work? I know you've talked about that before, but what's like your daily practice if you have one?
Yeah, every morning I do about 12 to 15 minutes of breathwork exercises. I have a breathwork coach.
Uh-huh. Oh,
She's
awesome.
incredible. Yeah, her name is Britley. She's
Cool.
amazing. So for the first, like, it's just normal breathing, coming present to your breath, recognizing
Hmm.
that you are breathing and you're trying to be present in the moment rather than letting your mind spiral
Hmm.
into like what you have to do for the day.
Yeah.
And then we move into a halo active breath. So it's like you're just open mouth to your own
Mm.
like that. And it's just like a halo. So it goes in and out, in and out. And then
Hmm.
you move into a triactive. And so each of these are like designated time periods
Yeah,
to that
cool.
breath. And then you're also, halo is like 2 breaths in and then 1 breath out.
Oh, okay.
And at the end of the halo and the end of the triactive, you're holding your breath at the end. So you can feel like your energy, you can feel the stillness around you, you can feel just like your own power essentially.
Hmm.
And then you let it go, and like you sit in the end, you sit at the bottom of that release, and you just kind of like experience how you want to experience your day.
That is
So
so cool. I love
yeah.
that. That is awesome. Okay, got
Thanks.
another one for you. Creatine, overrated, underrated.
I would say this is right in the middle. I
Okay,
think it's
properly
starting to
rated.
get, yeah, I think it's starting to
Yeah.
be properly rated.
Hmm.
Um, because there's so much. I was totally against creatine at the beginning of my journey, because I'm like, hey, anything that has a mom and a dad, you can totally, you get natural protein from eating those whole foods.
Yeah.
Vegans and the plant-based people, they don't get that, so they need to have it. And then there's just been a 360 of like, or is it 360 or 180? I don't know.
What?
Turn
Yeah, 180.
You're 180 where I like agree with
you
it
just
now.
changed your mind.
Yes, I changed my mind, which makes, it makes a great coach and it makes you
Yeah.
adaptable to the learning. So there's so much studies and so much positive things around how creatine can help for the, keeping your muscle mass intact, keeping you strong throughout aging, especially women that are of 45 and older going through menopause. Creatine is great. However, consult your doctor, because
Yeah.
if you're not drinking enough water, then that
There
could
you
just
go.
be a kidney thing. So yeah. But yeah, I think it's properly rated.
Awesome. I got a holiday one for you. And I think I know how you're going to answer this, but tracking your macros on the holiday or on vacation?
Overrated.
Yeah, that's
Is that
stupid,
what
right?
it's so
Yeah.
stupid. Yeah. Memories
Yeah.
over macros, man. Like just
Yes.
enjoy, be present, have fun, create new memories. Don't worry about, oh my God, is this a protein, fat, or a carb? Does this fit into my
Right.
day, my grams? Like just
Yes.
stop.
Yeah, I
It's
totally
literally
agree.
it's literally 3% of your year. So like don't lean on the holidays being something that throws you off track, people.
Yes.
It's literally the smallest amount of time. So
Yeah,
enjoy.
I totally agree. But at the same time, don't let the idea of the holidays, Christmas and Thanksgiving, make you go off track for 8 weeks. And then
Facts.
in January, you're up 10 pounds and kicking yourself, you know?
Facts. Control
Yeah.
yourself. Enjoy
Yeah.
yourself and control yourself. Get right back on track. It's a
Yeah.
temporary pause to your routine. It's not a forever change.
Oh, I love that. That's a great way to think about it. Temporary pause. That's awesome. Okay, another one. Let's see. I've got three more. Well, one of them we already talked about. We're going to do two more. Using the scale to track your progress. Overrated, underrated.
Overrated.
Talk to me about
Entirely
that.
overrated.
Yeah.
So many reasons. I just did a podcast on this on the macro hour around like when you start strength training, why the scale may not budge.
Yeah, I saw that.
One of them is being that when you put on more muscle is more dense than fat. So like you could literally weigh 150 pounds, be standing next to somebody that weighs 150 pounds. But like if you have more muscle mass than that person does, and like you obviously your bodies look way different. And that's because you
Totally.
just have more densely muscle and it takes up less space than fat does.
Mhm.
And then overall, like these other 2 points, I would say it's just like when you step on the scale, it's only telling you how heavy you are. It doesn't tell you what you're made up of. It doesn't tell you about the muscle mass you have. It doesn't tell you what's, muscle to fat ratio. It doesn't tell you about the how heavy your bones are. It doesn't tell you like how much water are you holding on to, right? Which would go in my second point, water retention. You're going to experience that no matter what. It doesn't mean you're getting fat. And then how when you start strength training, you eat carbohydrates, you have an increased glycogen storage so that you have power to perform your workouts. And for every type of when carbohydrates turn to glycogen, that glycogen gets stored in your muscles and your liver. And when you go on to perform strength training exercises, when it's stored, you get used for when you strength train, but when it's stored, you hold on to 3 times the amount of water. And people like, that's where carbs get a bad rep. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, well, I ate carbs and 3 weeks later, I weigh more on the scale. It's like, no, dude, no, you don't
Yeah.
weigh heavier on the scale.
Carbohydrate. There's water with every gram of carbs.
Exactly.
Yes.
It's just some water weight. So like, I hate the scale. It's just like, oh God,
Like, get over it.
yeah, it doesn't tell you the full story, man. It doesn't
Yeah.
tell you the full story.
Yeah, I love it. Okay, last one for you, and that is eating at maintenance calories. Underrated,
Oh,
overrated.
underrated.
I didn't really give you any that are overrated or that are over. Did I give you many overrated? Anyway, talk about maintenance calories.
Of overrated.
I mean, the other way around. Yeah.
Hey, maybe you're a little bit dyslexic.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. My rights and my lefts. I'm like, oh
Yeah.
wait.
Like,
Meant to
wait.
say that way.
Yeah.
Underrated.
Yeah.
Entirely. Yeah, entirely underrated. Because I say maintenance is magic. It's like you're giving your body the food, the fuel that it needs to give you the type of results that you want. Like a lot of women don't associate with like your muscles need fuel for energy, and when you go and do strength training, like they don't associate those two yet. Hopefully soon the fitness industry will trend that way.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks that they have to eat less in order to get some type of result. It's like if you're doing strength training and you want fat loss and you want a more toned physique, you want that body composition to change, you got to eat more to fuel that process to happen internally, right? And like I always say, let's focus on internally making your body happy, and then you will experience a compound effect, the physical on the outside happening.
Yes.
But like a huge component of that and a successful journey is maintenance calories.
Yeah, I love that. And that's something I try to say a lot is, in a deficit should be little blips of time, not the most of the time of your year. Most of the time you should be spent at maintenance. And then if you want to do, cuts here and there, fine, as long as you spent enough time at maintenance. It's almost like you have to earn it, you know?
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I love that. Well, Nikkiey, thank you so much. Where can we find you and where can we learn more from you?
Yes. So you can check out Warrior Babe. You can check out warriorbabe.com if you're ever interested in some one-on-one training. I hang out on Instagram the most at Nikkiey Stott. And then there's also the Macro Hour podcast on Apple and Spotify.
I love it. Thank you so much. So much fun having you here.
Thank you, Lindsay. I appreciate you having me.
Okay, see you soon.